Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to challenge you to take a closer look at one of the world's largest and most influential religions, Christianity, and ask the big question, is it really the divinely inspired truth it claims to be, or is it just another carefully constructed cult designed to consolidate power and control? In this video, we're going to dive deep into the evidence, questioning the prophecies, the character of its leaders, and how the faith rose to institutional power. We'll explore the inconsistencies, the manipulation of texts, and how these things may have been used to build a narrative rather than reveal truth. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy my content, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more videos like this. Your support really helps out the channel and keeps these conversations going. First, let's talk about prophecy. Christianity's foundation rests on the claim that Jesus was the fulfillment of Old Testament prophecies. But when we examine these prophecies, things don't add up. Many of the passages the Gospels attribute to Jesus' life are either taken out of context or fabricated to fit a narrative. Take, for example, the claim that Jesus was born in Bethlehem to fulfill a prophecy from Micah 5:2. The problem is, there are two contradictory accounts of Jesus' birth, one in Matthew and one in Luke, and both are riddled with inconsistencies. Even more troubling are prophecies like the so-called suffering servant of Isaiah 53. Many Christians argue this was meant to point to Jesus' death, but in its original context, the passage referred to the suffering of Israel, not an individual. The gospel writers took these fragments, twisted them, and used them to create a narrative that fit their agenda. This is the hallmark of a religious movement, not divine truth. When a religion's foundation is built on misinterpreted or manipulated texts, it's hard to take its truth claims seriously. Second, let's address the character of the church leaders. One of the most compelling arguments against Christianity as a divine truth is the character of the church's early leaders. Peter, considered the rock of the church, is depicted in the Gospels as a coward who denied even knowing Jesus at the time of his crucifixion. This isn't the behavior of a man who would later be willing to die for his beliefs. In fact, the very claim that all the disciples died for their faith is highly questionable. The truth is, we don't have evidence that most of them were martyred. These stories, like the fabricated prophecies, likely developed over time to lend credibility to the movement. And then there's Paul, an outsider to Jesus' ministry, a man originally hostile to the movement, suddenly having a vision that completely shifts the direction of Christianity. Paul redefines the faith in ways that allow for Gentile inclusion, removing key Jewish customs like circumcision, making Christianity more appealing to the wider Roman world. It's not difficult to see how Paul's new vision of Christianity also serves his own interests, consolidating power and influence for himself and his followers. Third, let's look at the rise of Christianity as an institution. Christianity, like many other cults, began as a small, radical movement, but over time, it transformed into a powerful institution, using the same methods that other authoritarian movements have used: control of doctrine, suppression of dissent, and centralization of power. The gospel writers and later church leaders, rather than teaching pure spiritual truths, sought to build an empire, creating a religious system that would not only ensure the salvation of believers but also solidify their control over society. This is not the work of a divine plan but of a group of people using religion as a tool for power. We also need to ask ourselves, why the need for these stories? If the message was divine, why were prophecies twisted and leaders' actions whitewashed? If Christianity were truly the truth, there would be no need for such manipulations. The fact that these adjustments were made to fit the narrative raises the question, was this a message from God, or a construct designed to maintain control? Finally, let's ask, what's the end result? Like many cults, Christianity did not just seek to spread a message, it sought to control minds and organize society. The power of the church grew rapidly, and soon, it wasn't enough for the Christian faith to spread through persuasion, it needed the backing of the state. The eventual conversion of the Roman Empire under Constantine was less about spiritual truth and more about the consolidation of power through religious unity. Christianity, now an institution, was used to justify power, political control, and, eventually, persecution. So, what does this mean? Christianity, much like any other cult, was built on a mix of manipulation, power-seeking, and myth-making. The failed and manipulated prophecies, the questionable character of its leaders, and the institutional rise of the faith suggest that what we have today is far more about social control than divine revelation. In conclusion, Christianity, in its earliest days, fits the definition of a cult, a religious movement that rose with a clear agenda of consolidating power and social structure. The claims of prophecy and the behavior of its leaders show that the religion was built on a narrative constructed for influence, not truth. If we strip away the supernatural layers, we're left with a political movement that capitalized on the human desire for meaning, power, and control. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So leave a comment below as always. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.